Hello everyone and welcome to the Suzanne and Sarah YouTube channel. I'm Suzanne.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to talk to you about out-of-state investing. We're going to share with you how to choose a market, how to build your team, and the pros and cons of investing in a place other than where you live. As I said, I'm Suzanne Moore. I'm a realtor here in beautiful sunny Bend, Oregon with Realty One Group Discovery, and I'm the founder of the Central Oregon Investor Network, which brings together investors not only from Central Oregon, but from all over the country to share resources, learn from one another, and create more passive income in our lives through real estate investments.
And I'm Sarah Willis, Suzanne Moore, and our team here at Realty One Group Discovery in Bend. And we make these videos on real estate investor topics as well as Bend lifestyle topics every single week and bring them to you on our Suzanne and Sarah YouTube channel. We have a QR code here up on the screen. This is the best way to stay in touch with us and follow along with everything we have going on. If you are searching for a home here in the Bend area, you are going to want to join our mailing list because we make a really great email every week called our top picks email, where we scour the market and send Ben's best deals straight to you. And then today we really are bringing everyone together from all over the country. And this is a great topic to learn on, whether you're in Bend or not.
Okay, so out of state investing, where do you start? This is the trickiest part, the one that hampers most people, and they don't get beyond looking at Zillow and Redfin before they just quit and either focus on their own market or abandon the idea altogether.
So why out-of-state investing? Why would you not want to just stick with where you live? Well, one big reason is where you live, maybe the median home sales price, like it is here in Bend, is $800,000, and you don't have 25% of $800,000 to put down. So there's a lower barrier to entry in other markets, potentially outside where you choose to live as your primary residence. So in other markets, this could mean better returns, higher cash flow, or potentially even higher appreciation depending on what your goals are and where you're looking. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So also other reasons to invest is to diversify your portfolio. You don't necessarily want to put all your eggs in one basket. Different markets fluctuate at different rates, and also different markets offer different types of returns. Finally, operating expenses in different markets. If you don't live in a market where contractors are really high in price, then again, just you may have lower expenses and being able to work outside of your own market. Finally, landlord-friendly areas. We know a lot of people here in Oregon and Washington who are trying to get out because it's not the friendliest landlord place to invest. So looking for markets that have a little bit more landlord-friendly laws.
So things to look for in your new market. You can look at this as a checklist when you're doing research online. First thing is increasing population. You want to make sure people are coming in and not moving out for some reason. Maybe industry is changing. You want to make sure that industry is attracting people, and that goes to the diversified economy. You want to make sure that there's more than just one main employer in your particular market, so that if for some reason that employer disappears, you lose your tenant pool. You also want to see that growing workforce. You want to see more people moving there because there's jobs and quality of life and other things that attract people to move to this particular market. Good schools is really important for families, folks looking to have a safe place for their children to grow up, whether they're renters or not. And then, of course, low crime rates go hand in hand with that. Generally, people want to be living in places where they feel safe. And of course, strong rental occupancy. Occupancy can vary greatly from market to market. So this is something to pay attention to and do your research on. And then you also want to make sure that there's more demand for rentals than there is supply, right? We know the laws of supply and demand. If there's higher demand and less supply, what happens? Your price goes up. If the reverse happens and there's more supply of rentals and not as much renter pool, your prices go down.
Okay, so you are considering an area outside of where you live, and one of the first things you might consider when exploring a new market is what kind of connection that you have to a different place. So a lot of people will say to themselves, where do I know people already? Do I have family and friends nearby? Do I already have an area where I don't live that I have some sort of network or know somebody there who can help me get started. It could also be a place where you lived previously, and you just know the area well, and can be doing some home shopping and or buying sight unseen. And then another thing to consider is this a place potentially that you want to visit frequently? Because as we all know, when we invest in different places, it's a really great option to write off our trips there. So it could be, killing two birds with one stone. They're going to do work on your rental or visit your rental or home shopping in another connection, but also potentially combining in a little vacation time.
Not a bad idea. What do you want to use to analyze your prospective market? So you've seen, if you've been watching our channel for a while, we have a deal analysis video on the top metrics that you'll use to analyze any deal in any market. And the number one metric is cap rate. So this is the Mac Daddy of all the metrics. This is going to help you compare markets to markets. You'll see when you start looking, different markets have different standard cap rates, and they change frequently depending on the economy, industry, population, those pieces we covered before. Another thing to look at is your gross rent multiplier. If you don't know what that is, go to our Investor Metrics 101 video and you will learn how to use that. Another one is the 1% rule. This was super easy back of the napkin math, where you want to make sure that, well, in some markets, it is possible to hit the 1% rule, which says that your monthly rents should equal 1% of your purchase price. So an example of that would be if your purchase price is $200,000, you should be expecting $2,000 a month in rent. Is that something that's achievable in markets like California, Bend, Oregon, other markets? Not necessarily. So this rule may not apply in your market. Cash on cash return is another metric to use, but use it in conjunction with cap rate, gross rent multiplier. Don't just rely on cash return, because it's only looking at your cash in and cash out. And there's a lot more you need to be analyzing in terms of your net operating income to get a holistic picture of whether this is or isn't a good investment. Then you've got your annualized return in the form of IRR. This is another Mac Daddy kind of metric. We will have a separate video on that another day. And then finally, your return on investment. So this is looking at all these metrics together, making sure that you are comfortable with the returns you expect, whether you're looking for cash flow or equity, or in some cases, if you're really lucky, getting both. So cash flow is something that is achievable in some markets. As we said, this would mean that after all of your expenses are paid, you have money coming in on top of that. So your rents cover all your expenses, and then some is left over, and that's for you to use however you like.
So the most important thing that we're here to talk to you about is how to invest outside of your own market, right? And so that involves building a team who can be your boots on the ground when you cannot.
The best way to start building your team in a market where you don't live is to start with a realtor. If you don't know a realtor in that market, you can ask Suzanne and Sarah for investor-friendly realtor recommendations in the market that you are looking in, because we have connections all over the country with realtors who are experienced and can walk you through every step of the process, connecting you to the broader team that you will need to make your investment a success. Not all realtors are created equal. So just a caution here, do not rely just on Google to find a realtor in a market where you do not live. You want to ask around, ask your friends, ask your family, ask any other connections you have that live in that area. If you're not going to come to us, make sure that this person knows investment, speaks investment, and ideally invests themselves.
So questions you're going to want to ask your investor-friendly realtor to make sure that they actually have that realtor speak are things like, what is your own personal investing experience? Like Suzanne said, it's really helpful to have a realtor who actually does this themselves, because they have real hands-on experience with what you're trying to do as well. The second question you may want to ask is, tell me about your contacts. Are these people who are readily available? Are they reasonably priced? And are they reliable? You want to make sure your realtors have people that they use to refer out to their clients that are their go-tos, because otherwise it can be really hard to get a hold of contractors. How many property managers do you know and work with regularly? Different markets, depending on the type of investment that you're making, whether it's long-term, midterm, short-term rental, lots of different property manager types, and different markets will have different selections for those things, and just making those connections early and developing those relationships early is important. Also, what lenders do you typically recommend? We ourselves, again, just have a set of really amazing lenders with different products. So again, depending on your goals, your realtor should be able to connect you with the type of lender that's going to be able to support your goals. And again, a lot of times with investment real estate, we all need to be creative in terms of the type of financing that we dive into in order to achieve all of our goals. So being able to understand who to talk to, how that works is just a really important piece of the team building puzzle. What can you tell me about the area's landlord-tenant laws? Again, realtors are not property managers. They're not necessarily qualified to speak to these things in a legal sense, but a good investment-friendly realtor should know some general laws about their particular area. Next, what is the vacancy rate for the rentals in the area? Again, just important to know how many owner-occupied versus non-owner-occupied places are in your market, and as well as just like how many of those are being unoccupied. Is it hard to fill rentals here? And then finally, what's the average price per square foot for rentals? An average nightly rate for your vacation rentals. Again, your realtor and your team should have access to all of this information through their network and be able to provide it for you. And these are just really important components of choosing the right people to work with.
And it's important to do some of your own research as well and make sure that the numbers you are finding are compatible and similar to the numbers that your realtor is telling you. Okay, so just looking holistically at your team, this is everyone who you will need to find, fund, and manage your out-of-state investment. You start with your realtor, that's the hub of the wheel, and then everyone else is spokes out from there, right? Your realtor can connect you to your lender, as we just talked about. You want to have maybe someone local in some markets that matters. You want to have someone that's very investor savvy and someone that has lots of financing options. You want to have your next spoke is your contractor. Assuming you're buying a property in another market and you're looking for something that is maybe lower priced than your own market, it may need some work, and you want someone who can give you a renovation estimate, maybe just by looking at pictures, or they can be the boots on the ground for you and go in and look at the property on your behalf. You want them to help you dial in the property, and you also want them to help you with annual maintenance. So we talked about them being reliable, reasonable, and responsive. Those are a given. You definitely need to have that on your team. Then your property manager. If you decided you do not want to manage this on your own from afar, you will hire a property manager. Again, your realtor can connect you to this spoke, and this property manager should be giving you a revenue estimate, whether it's a short, mid, or long-term rental. They should be marketing the property on your behalf to prospective tenants and dealing with the tenants. They should know the landlord-tenant laws, as we talked about before, and they need to be responsible for tenant interaction and communication. Last up is a CPA or a financial advisor. These are not necessary, to have in that particular market, but it's good to have these folks on your team regardless of where you live and where you're investing. So you want someone in both of these roles that is investor friendly, who can advise you on the investor write-offs for owning investment real estate. You want them to help you with your tax preparation and planning ahead so you can be spending the money you need to spend to make your tax bill something you are comfortable with, and also giving that financial strategy so you can have the right amount of money in each of the buckets so you have a diversified portfolio. So next up, we're going to talk you through a couple of out-of-state investing case studies from our own experience.
Okay, these are a couple of examples in my recent history. We decided to invest out of state in St. Louis because of exactly what we were talking about before. It's a lower barrier to entry in terms of cash out of pocket from the get-go. We chose this market for all the reasons we've already been through. We did our research on all the things that we've already talked about here and decided this was a market that we are comfortable investing in. We chose multifamily units for the reason that it's pretty low price and strong cash flow. We exceed the 1% rule on our couple buildings that we have invested in here. So in our efforts, we are maximizing the number of units or the number of doors that we're getting with the amount of down payment that we're putting down. So, for example, it was my goal this year to have 4 doors, but instead of doing that with 4 single family homes, just get it done in one full swoop. Closing costs are a lot less buying one place than buying 4. On our first place, this is a big lesson that we learned. We went the conventional route, did 25% down. It was, based on debt to income ratio in large part, and cost us a decent amount of money out of pocket. And our second one that we have pursued in the same market, we did the commercial loan option, which has nothing to do with your debt to income ratio. It has everything to do with what is the purchase price and what are the current rents, and having a good DSCR number, which again, this is the type of market where purchase prices are low and rents are relatively decent to support this. So what this meant for us is we were able to find an 80 LTV loan as opposed to a 75 LTV loan, and save ourselves a lot of money out of pocket and be able to spread our money out to buy more places that are paying for themselves. So what we were going for in these markets that were really important to us, since we are buying from afar, at the time had never been here, didn't see the buildings, was that they're fully occupied. We're choosing to self-manage to save ourselves that writing that blank check and paying 10% plus off the top for just collecting rent checks. If you buy a place that's fully occupied, you don't have to worry about filling those rentals, those units, and you can take the time to set up the units in such a way that you can manage it from afar when you do have turnover. So you just you buy yourself a little bit of time. All we had to do, leases were in place, was really just read through the leases, decide what we liked in them and what we didn't, and issue a change of management notice. And that just restipulated what we wanted to change, payments, how payments change, and anything else we wanted to change in the leases. So this is our unit number 1. Unit number 2, the great thing that comes from building a team in a specific market and investing in a specific market is this building that we are purchasing was off market and was brought to us. The great thing about this building was it cost $40,000 less than our first building, has higher rents. We did the DSCR loan, so saved ourselves money there. Also fully occupied. And this was just all brought to us from developing relationships and just getting started. Sure, our first one wasn't as good as it could have been, potentially, we learned, but it all starts from just jumping in and trying something new. So for our first one, we bought it sight unseen. We had never been to St. Louis. We took our inspection report. We sent my husband out there. We spent a total of $2,100 on airfare, lodging, car, and minor repairs to take care of all the checklist items that needed to be done for these people for probably the next year. And so comparing that to what it would cost to have just 10% taken off the top every month and or send a property manager out there that we're paying by the hour plus materials is just saving us a ton of money. And also we're developing relationships with our tenants and hopefully keeping good tenants long term this way. Plan is to raise payments. Raise rents 5 to 10% every year as far as long term. We even partially funded these with a HELOC, and that's just another great way to extract some money for a down payment. And what's so great about this market is that even plugging in like 0% down, these places still break even in cash flow. So they're completely paying for themselves.
So that's what you want. That's why we invest out of market. So I've got a couple properties here. Last year, I set a goal of investing out of state. I wanted to try a different state in a landlord-friendly market where we had family. So that was our connection. That's why we chose this particular market in Michigan. And the first duplex we bought was a house hack for my mother-in-law. So we bought a duplex that was built as a duplex. That's what purpose-built means. And we kept the tenant in one side. We did that same change of management form, and we renovated the other side so that mom could move into that vacant unit. And the rent from the tenant occupied unit pays for the entire mortgage, taxes, and insurance. So mom lives for free, and she can go back and forth between this property and her place in Florida and not have to endure a Michigan winter. So the second property we bought was just down the street. Actually, mom can see this property from her window. It's great. She's like our 6-month on-site property manager that doesn't get paid, but she lives for free. So, hey. So this is a long-term rental. This one hit the 1% rule. We bought it for $170. We did buy it with below market rents, but we have been raising those, and we are now well above the 1% rule. We kept the existing tenants and we put them on new month-to-month leases, and we plan to raise rents to $1,100. Actually, we already did that. We raised rents on both sides to $1,100. I did have one eviction, so that's the update on this one. I did have to evict one of those tenants for non-payment. I went through the whole process. I hired an attorney. I showed up to court through Zoom, and all in all, it cost me $1,800 and about 3 or 4 months of not getting rent. So I'm still alive. I'm here. I got through it. I have a great tenant now.
So as we're talking about, there are pros to investing out of state, mostly for cash flow reasons, but there are also cons, right? So more affordable can, places out of your own primary residence market can be more affordable. Other markets can have higher returns. If it fits into your investment goals, does it check the box of you looking for cash flow, for example? And also, as we talked about, the other pro is that it's just a good idea to diversify where you're owning real estate for different reasons. Cons is it's harder to do diligence when you're not living in that market. It's harder to understand who you're getting into your units when you're trying to fill new units, as far as qualifying them. And every market has different laws. It's just, it's harder to keep track of all the different laws that you need to keep track of in order to have rentals in different areas. Also, just for example, the biggest con, in my opinion, not owning a place that I can drive to is just if you are self-managing, when something does go wrong, it just takes a little bit longer to have high response times. So that's where it comes into play in terms of building your vendor list and your relationships in specific markets. And yes, it's important to diversify your portfolio, but also there is some efficiency in choosing a market that is checking your box and kind of making that as efficient as possible by buying potentially a few places there at once.
Now you're asking yourself, okay, I'm excited. I got all the stuff I need. What do I do now? You've got to take the first step, and we'll walk you through what that step is. The first step is to hold up your phone and snap that QR code there. That will get you to our contact form on our website. And what that does is it puts you on our weekly email list. You will get the featured investment properties, videos, and analysis for properties in Central Oregon. And you'll also get our monthly investor meetup invites, which is what this is a part of. Finally, the most important thing it will get you is our investor-focused realtor referrals in your desired market. That's why you connect if you're looking in any market outside of Central Oregon. We are connected and hooked into realtors around the country who are focused on helping people find cash flowing investments. Just like Sarah said, she found a realtor in St. Louis, and then after the first deal, he brought her something off market. That's exactly what you want and what we can help you find.
Finally, thank you again for watching our YouTube channel and this particular video on out-of-state investing. I'm Sarah Willis.
And I'm Suzanne Moore, and you can like and subscribe to our channel if you found value in this and our other videos, and we will be sharing more insightful investor-focused videos with you here soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for watching.